If you really pay attention to the passing of time, you might have noticed something absolutely fascinating about the Islamic calendar. It's something that fundamentally changes how billions of people experience the entire year. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the brilliant mechanics behind why the holy month of Ramadan is always on the move.
So, picture this. One year, you're fasting in the dead of summer. We're talking long days, blazing heat, barely a breeze. But fast forward a few years, and suddenly you're fasting in the cool, short days of winter. It just never stays put. You've got to wonder, why does Ramadan arrive earlier every single year? Is it just some weird glitch in the calendar system, or is there an intentional, grand design behind all of this?
To get to the bottom of this, we're going to look at two worlds, two calendars. Because the way you probably track your standard work week is completely different from how the Islamic calendar tracks the passing of time.
Okay, let's compare these two systems. Most of us live our daily lives by the Gregorian calendar, right? That's a solar calendar based on the Earth's orbit around the sun. It takes exactly 365 days. Well, actually, scratch that. It's more like 365 days and 6 hours, which is why we have to toss in a leap year every 4 years to fix the math. But the Hijri, or Islamic calendar, is purely lunar. It's based 100% on the moon's 29.5-day cycle. A new month only starts when the crescent moon is physically spotted in the sky. If you multiply those lunar months by 12, you get roughly 354 days.
And that brings us to our magic number, 11. If you take the solar year of 365 days and subtract the lunar year of 354 days, you're left with a deficit of exactly 11 days. Basically, the Islamic year finishes 11 days before the solar year does. And I promise you, that simple little mathematical gap is the key to this whole mystery.
Which perfectly sets up this idea of the calendar drift. When you run two different clocks side by side at slightly different speeds, the ripple effect is just super interesting.
Let's actually play this out. Because of those 11 missing days, the start of Ramadan essentially marches backward through the Gregorian calendar every single year. So, if year 1 kicks off on March 11th, by year 2, the solar calendar still has 11 days left to catch up, which bumps Ramadan back to March 1st. By year 3, we've drifted into February 18th. Year 4, February 7th. It just keeps rolling backward, January, December, November, sliding right through the seasons.
Now here is where it gets wild. Because of this continuous drift, it takes exactly 33 years for Ramadan to travel through every single month and season before it finally returns to its original starting point. Think about that for a second. If you live a normal lifespan, you will literally experience fasting during every possible season of the year. It's this complete, beautiful, lifelong cycle.
And you know, this wasn't just some accident in 7th century Arabia. The Quran explicitly designates the moon as a universal clock, stating that new moons are markers of time for people and for Hajj. For the vast majority of human history, the moon was the absolute best, most reliable clock we had. It's this natural, sweeping rhythm that has guided civilizations for millennia.
So you're probably asking, okay, but why not just tweak it? Why not adjust it so it lines up with the solar seasons? And that brings us to the real philosophical core of this explainer, the wisdom of the moon.
To answer that, we have to talk about a concept called intercalation. That's a fancy term for adding an extra leap month into a lunar calendar just to keep things synced up with the solar seasons. The Hebrew calendar, for instance, uses this method so their months stay roughly fixed in the same seasons year after year. But Islam intentionally said, no, we're doing this differently.
See, the Quran expressly forbids adding leap months. Why? To abolish a highly manipulative pre-Islamic practice known as nasi. Back in the day, powerful tribes would just arbitrarily add months whenever they wanted to wage war or trade, basically hitting pause on the sacred months of peace whenever it was convenient for them. Islam shut that down entirely. The calendar had remained pure and completely untouched by human politics.
By sticking to a strict, unedited lunar calendar, Islamic scholars point out that the system achieves 3 profoundly beautiful things: equality, universality, and spiritual discipline. Let's break those down. First up is equality. Think about it. If Ramadan was permanently locked into a specific month, Muslims living in hot equatorial climates would be stuck with grueling summer fasts forever. But because the seasons constantly shift, the physical burden is shared equally over time. It would be very fair if someone in one country got easy 10-hour winter fasts their entire life, while someone else was sweating through 16-hour fasts, right? The shifting calendar completely levels the playing field over a lifetime.
Second, it ensures perfect universality. The genius here is in the simplicity.
You don't need a smartphone, you don't need a PhD in astronomy, you literally just need to look up at the night sky. It means the calendar belongs to everyone regardless of wealth, technology, or where they live on Earth.
And finally, it builds real spiritual discipline. Every generation gets to experience the changing trials of fasting. A kid might start their very first fast during the short, easy days of winter, but as they grow older, they'll inevitably have to face the long, blistering heat of a summer fast. It's a powerful reminder that while the conditions of life are always changing, a person's dedication remains steady.
To truly grasp the impact of this, let's look at Ramadan around the world right now, because that 11-day shift creates some wildly different experiences depending on your exact latitude.
Take a place like Reykjavik, Iceland. For a winter fast in 2026, they'll only be fasting for about 10 hours a day. Pretty manageable, right? But just a decade ago, when Ramadan fell in the dead of summer, Muslims in Iceland were fasting for nearly 22 hours straight under the midnight sun, literally almost the entire day. Meanwhile, places closer to the equator, like Lahore, Pakistan, experience way less extreme variation. It is a wildly dynamic system in practice.
So when you look at the whole shebang, you realize that this 11-day shift is absolutely not a bug or an inconvenience. It's a beautifully designed feature. In our modern world, where we are so obsessed with digital precision and rigid routines, this calendar asks people to step outside, to watch the sky, and to reconnect with the natural rhythms of the universe. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to ponder about your own relationship with time and the elements. Which season do you think would actually be the hardest time to fast, and why? Would it be the relentless heat of those long summer days, or maybe the short but freezing, bitter days of winter? It really makes you appreciate how this 33-year cycle shapes the human experience. Thank you so much for exploring this with me. Keep asking questions, keep looking up, and I will catch you in our next explainer.